Hi. Okay. This is Sandra from Philadelphia tonight.
This is Justin from Portland tonight. Did I do the... Sandra had a weird, princess wave thing going.
Parade hello. And we are The Answer. Here we go.
The Answer.
Woo! The Answer in the house. How are you guys doing? Okay. Give us just a second to do a little housekeeping. Justin, if you could check to make sure we are in fact live, that would be amazing. Let me tell you. And then we don't have any captions up tonight, but I'll add that in later. If you see the box that says live right about there,
It definitely says that we're live.
Huh?
Yes, it definitely says we're live this time.
Okay. Yeah, we had a little debacle if you go back.
We had a dress rehearsal last week. By accident.
That was not good. So, Justin, how is the weather? Well, sorry, I should get into. Tonight we are talking about spirituality.
Yes.
And all that entails. And I apologize for this glare. If anybody has a connection for glare-free glasses, I don't really need them, I guess. I'm just kind of chit-chatting. But anyways, Justin, how you doing? You're over in Portland, Oregon tonight, right?
I am, yes.
Yeah.
So the weather's actually been not too bad. It's a little cold, but we saw the sun the past couple of days.
If I were to bring you over, so where I am on the East Coast of America, it's 10 p.m. Where Justin is on Portland is the opposite coast, West Coast, and that is 7 p.m. So right now we have snow, and it's about, well, let me tell you what the temperature is. It's a warm and balmy 32 degrees, which is actually better than it was yesterday morning, or this morning it was 9 degrees. Yeah, you heard me, 9 degrees. What is this, Alaska? I don't even get it, Justin. Explain it to me. Explain it.
That.
What?
You went there of your own volition. I had nothing to do with it. So you can
you
deal with you on that.
I'm not usually in Philly. So I have this t-shirt that was a gift because today, if you follow football at all, I don't really know if you can see it. Can you see that, Justin? Philadelphia Eagles. Yeah. So I went to the playoff game, and that was really fun with a bunch of Philly fans. So that was great. And so now I'm just in Philly until next by next Sunday I should be back in Portland. So tonight, spirituality, Justin. Let me turn this down so you can actually hear yourself think.
Okay. Hear myself think.
And I have to apologize because I'm in a new place. I don't know what the Wi-Fi connection is like. So hopefully this video will turn out okay. But we are in fact live. This I can see. So Justin, spirituality.
Very important. Spirituality. So I was thinking about this a lot lately, and this is spurred by a couple of things. One, my spiritual practice is very increasingly involved. I'm going through a shamanic healer's training program. I've got about a year and a half left, but I was doing a lot of shamanic work and even did some traveling and sitting with shamans in Peru during this journey, if you will. And so one of the products of this is, at least in my relationships, I tend to date the very spiritual girls. And I've really been thinking a lot about what they call bypassing, spiritual bypassing, right? And when I start describing this, inevitably, we all probably know somebody that we can think of and go, that kind of feels like my friend Jim or Susie or what have you. And it's something I've been very cognizant of. So
I'm sorry, Justin. Spiritual bypassing is, I've never heard of this before. Can you kind of give me a definition of what that is?
Well, there's actually a great definition on Very Well Mind. It's a website. I pulled it up so I could articulate it better. And it's like hiding behind spirituality or spiritual practices. And it's a way of it's like isolating yourself. You're not dealing with the here and now. You're not dealing with personal relationship. And you're hiding behind, a lot of your behaviors by effectively hiding in your spirituality. And, in that way, it's kind of it's not being present in the here and now, right? Like we all know the person that's, well, at least I know several that they're a complete disaster in their life, but they're very spiritual, right? They're very, very spiritual, right? I'll just pray to the universe to make rent this month, and somehow they do it. Don't ask me how, but there's not a healthy balance there, and their spirituality doesn't really help them grow, like emotionally, as a person or in their daily life, because it's a means of escape, if you will. It's not truly a tool for self-betterment or betterment for their external surroundings. It's not something that helps them integrate and learn and show up differently in the world. So that's in a nutshell, that's kind of spiritual bypass. You're focusing on your spirituality, but it's not integrating into the world around you, and it's not showing up in a way that's truly helping you.
Okay.
It's like an escape, or it's like an identity. Now, before we go into this further, if you hear me talking about the church, I'm not making fun of the church. If you hear me talk about people that are pagans and whatnot, I'm not making fun of pagans, right? But these are two examples that we're going to have to talk about, and we've all seen people that are in both walks of life, and they basically demonstrate the same kind of ideals,
Yeah, totally. Sorry, I'm just trying to get comfortable. So let me see if I get this straight. It's kind of like the guy that goes to church on Sunday and says, "Peace be with you," and "Oh, the Lord, the Lord's going to reward you with heaven, and be a good person." And then he goes through the rest of his week doing everything the opposite of what the church teaches. And he beats his kids, he drinks and cheats on his wife, and he lies at work and steals money from the cash register and does everything wrong. And yet he returns on Sunday to be this other persona. Is that kind of like spiritual bypassing? I just want to make sure I understand.
That's definitely one example. That's somebody that their faith is it's a persona, but it's not a reality, right? It's not integrated into their being. They're not doing anything to address those internal conflicts and the anger and all the things that go into those kind of behaviors, which is usually some form of trauma at some point in life that causes people to be that way. Some people are just jerks. That's true. But for the most part, I think a lot of people, kind of become predisposed to stuff like that. But I've got a great list here. Some signs of emotional bypassing we can break this down with, right? So Number one, not focusing on the here and now, living in a spiritual realm much of the time. So, they're just kind of blissing out. Everything's falling apart around them, but they're blissing out, and they're doing the universe will provide, or they're meditating, or they're saying they're with the drum, or they're saying God will provide, and they're not getting off their butts and doing things. They're just, everything's falling down around them, but they keep looking towards somewhere else, right? Externalizing themselves from the situation, right?
Okay.
Overemphasizing the positive and avoiding the negative.
Is this number two?
This is number two. This is actually off Psychology Today.
Okay.
So this is not even a spiritual site, right? This is Psychology Today, like psychology. Okay. So yeah.
Do you think, Justin, after the live, could you maybe put up a link in the comment section for the article in case anybody wants to go back and reference it?
Yes.
Cool.
Yeah. Overemphasizing the positive and avoiding a negative, right? That's the second one. And I get it. We don't want to be negative, right? We don't want to dwell in negativity if it doesn't have any constructive value. However, you have to see the negatives in your life if you're going to address them and correct them, right?
True.
I mean, you can't ignore all of that forever, but you don't want to get stuck in a repeating pattern of dwelling on it or beating yourself up over it.
Right.
But you have to be able to see it. And we all know people that, oh, it's great, it's wonderful, and hey man, why you gotta be so negative, blah. And it's like, dude, your life is such a disaster. And you're gonna lecture me about negativity or how I look at the world. It's like, come on, man. Look at yourself. Like,
yeah.
Come on. I don't have to go with too many examples. We all know that person, So right. Number 3.
We all know that person.
That person. Yes.
Can I just
and they wear eagle sweaters too. You gotta watch out for them.
Justin.
Not really. I'm just teasing her. She can't hit me from this distance, so it's
Let's fight, Justin. Let's fight.
I might pay for it later though.
Justin.
She'll come back eventually.
No, it reminds me, if I could interject. And we've all heard the story about the guy that there's a great flood and they warn about the flood and they tell everyone, leave, evacuate your homes. A flood's going to come. And the guy says, oh, it's all right. God's got me. And then the flood comes and all of a sudden he and his kids are on the roof of their house because, there's now a river where his living room used to be. And a boat comes along. Sorry, I've got a phone that's out of control. It keeps sliding down. It wants to attack me. So the guy is on the roof of his house. You've got this river flowing through his house. He's surrounded by water. He's trapped, and his kids are there. And the first thing he sees is like a boat comes by, like rescuers, and they're like, "Hey, come on, we can help you. We can help you get on the boat." And he says, like, "No, God's got me. God's got me. We're gonna wait. We're gonna wait." And then they go by, and then a couple hours later, somebody on a raft floats by, and they say, "Hey, we can help you. We can get you downstream and get you onto land, dry land." And the guy says, "No, we're good. Lord's gonna help us. Lord loves a working man, and I go to church every Sunday, and God's got me. Don't you just go? You go ahead." And then finally, sadly, the flood waters get so high that he drowns. And he goes to heaven and he says to God, "God, what happened? You always said you would help me in my time of need." And he's like, did you not see the boat that came for you? Did you not see the raft that came for you? That was me. And I wonder if would that be like a form of spiritual bypassing or no?
Well, what's ruled on? What's the first thing they talk about? Not focusing on the here and now, living in a spiritual realm, right?
Yeah.
Clearly, the guy was not like looking at the things that are right in front of him.
Yeah.
Right. Oh no, yeah. I'm over here. I'll be fine. I got that. That's yeah.
Yeah. So okay. So sorry. I just wanted to. That reminded me of that story. So, okay, got you.
Yep. Where was I? Okay.
Number 3 or number 2. I'm not sure.
Yeah. Number 2 is overemphasizing the positive and avoiding the negative. We all know the person that their life's a complete disaster. But if you say like I'm a big fan of dark humor, part of that's because I'm a veteran, and we just always tend to be that way. Most of us, first responders and the like, we're all kind of dark humored that way. The person their life's a total disaster. How could you say that? That's so. Oh my gosh, that's not funny at all. Like, why would you say such a thing? It's like they're trying to do some kind of weird thing where they're on this different plane from the average Joe, and that's their way of manifesting that. They overemphasize the positive, and it's like everybody else is below them in some strange way because they're just not positive enough. There's nothing wrong with being positive, but they're healthiness and moderation and everything, right?
Sure.
As they say. So
makes sense.
Now this is one I've encountered a lot. This number 3, this one, and they say concept of enlightenment here, but so this one is being self-righteous about the concept of enlightenment. Not just enlightenment, kids, right? how many self-righteous people we see out of the church, how many self-righteous people we see out of the pagan community, the shamanic community, the witch community, all of that, this identity and this ego and this I'm better than everyone else because I put on special clothes and makeup and do ceremonies. I'm not a better person at all, but you're all peasants. You just live normal lives. I'm up here. I'm up here.
But then Justin,
maybe you're just not,
and then we've also got the churchgoer that says,
yeah.
You don't go to church. I haven't seen you at church in months. You haven't accepted Jesus Christ as your Lord and Savior. And I will go to heaven and I will put in a good word for you, John. But John, you're going to hell. I promise you're going to hell.
Because you didn't show up last Sunday. Yep. And again, you'll look at their lives and it's like, dude, you live in a trailer that somebody probably tried to evict you from 10 years ago and you're still there. And you're just a total disaster,
Right.
You don't grow in any way. People are going to find you in the same place you were 20 years ago, Yeah. But boy, I'll tell you what, boy, they say in that Bible, even though they probably haven't read it, or if they read it, they don't read it enough to really understand it. They don't, hey, what does educated theologians say about this passage? No, these aren't the kind of people we're talking about now. Right.
Yeah. And I feel like I feel like, Justin, for me, it's one of my pet peeves. And just for everyone's background, just for everyone that doesn't know our background, I was raised in the Catholic and the Christian church. And I think that the thing, and I am Christian, I do identify as Christian since we're now going to do the identifying. I also identify as a woman. I don't know. I should probably clarify that. I don't know. Nowadays, who knows? Everyone, I identify as an Oreo cookie fan, I mean, I feel like we all identify.
What flavor are you? Are you the Lady Gaga special edition Oreos?
No, and not the double stuff.
I want
the classic Oreo.
The classic.
Classic, yeah. But you know what? Those mint ones, I don't know if you've had the mint.
They're really sinful.
They're mint.
Yeah, they're good.
White chocolate covered, like mint. Oh my God, don't put those in my house. But I digress. I think for me, there's a special place in my mind, and I'm going to judge, so that's not right as a Christian. And then, of course, I didn't talk about Justin. I'll let Justin say what Justin's into, but I'm Christian, and I think that the main thing that really makes me mad is when I hear about somebody that preaches that they have the word of God, and I don't care if they're a rabbi or they run a synagogue or they're a pastor, whatever. There's a special place in hell for you guys when you sit there up on the pulpit every Saturday, Sunday, whatever day of the week it is, when you guys, people come to you and they seek enlightenment and they seek the word of their higher power. There's a special place in hell for you guys when you sit there and you play like you're so innocent and you're found to either be stealing money or cheating on your wife or molesting little kids. I mean, the thing about it is I know that people make mistakes, but to be the kind of person that's so like you lead groups of people, you try to teach them to be better. And all the while you were a total villain. That I feel like there's a special place in hell for those people.
Yeah, and they can't see it a lot of times. That's what's really the most.
Or they think that they're above that. Again, the rules don't apply to me because I'm the pastor of the church, and and I'll just stay. Why am I talking with this? What is this accent? I'm Christian and I don't talk like that, so I don't know why I'm going into that. But I relate to that a lot. Coming from the Christian church, I relate to people that talk the talk and don't walk the walk, or they get caught walking the wrong way.
Yep. Or it's a means to put themselves above other people,
Yeah, or they're better than you, just like the Christian thing. Well, Justin, can you accept Jesus Christ as your Savior? Because if you don't, as wonderful as you are, you're going to definitely go to hell and burn in hell forever, eternally. I mean,
yeah,
I'm going to get a lot of Christians on here that are going to be like, don't you rip apart our religion. It's my religion too. But the thing about it is, you guys, like, we're not supposed to be judging. How many times in the Bible does it say, only God will judge me? Only God will judge me. And then we turn around and we say, well, that Patty Akerson, did you see her? Yeah, they don't even have enough money to pay their mortgage, but they just bought a brand new SUV, showing it off to everybody in the neighborhood. Oh, okay, you're judging them. What?
I actually said to a guy once, I don't need somebody who can't balance their checkbook tell me how the universe works.
Yeah, exactly. Like, you're not supposed to judge, and that's why it just drives me crazy. What was it recently that I was watching or listening to, and it was like, like Christian people that said they were Christian and loving, and then they turn around and point fingers and judge others, either because they're not Christian or they're not tithing, they're not giving their money to the church or whatever. I mean, that's between them and God, you guys. You are not God. You are a child of God. True. It's kind of like, for me, it's kind of like you've got parents in a household. You've got mom and dad, right? And then you've got the kids. And so the kids say, well, because mom and dad are the bosses, like, and we come from mom and dad, we're the boss. You're not the boss. The boss is the boss. He's up there, or she, or whatever you believe in. They're up there and they're going to decide. That is between the person that did what they did and God. That is not for you in the middle to be like, well, God, you know what I mean? I feel like so many people would do that if they had a chance to be like, God, don't you ever wonder how many people like pray at night and they go, well, Lord, I want you to please forgive Patty Akerson for her bragging to everybody in the neighborhood. And I hope she hears me right now. You know what I mean? It's like, well, yeah. Again, with the accent. Okay. I'm going to figure out where that hails from.
Because I think the caricature, the most ridiculous, outspoken church folk tend to be like Midwest and Southern United States. So we default to these accents.
I love that section of the country the best. I love the Midwest and South the best. So I was recently in Texas. I wonder if that's why.
I'm careful with that. I don't count Texas as the South. All right, now we're talking Louisiana, Mississippi. That's the South. Texas is its own thing. Texas could be its own country. They'll tell you.
Yeah, they are their own thing, but they do have a draw. They do kind of have a draw.
They do, yeah. But I admire their state pride. Like, man, they.
You admire their what?
I admire their state pride. Like Texas has got some serious pride going on.
Man, Texas doesn't take any bull from anyone.
They do. Anybody bags Oregon, I'd be like, yeah, sure. But man, you bag Texas, and Texas will be like, excuse me.
Pull out the gun.
Okay. I lived there for 6 years as a kid growing up. So I still,
really? I didn't know that.
Yeah, my dad was Air Force and he was a TI down at Lackland. So I lived down there. So I still remember singing the Texas song and clapping.
Oh, the yellow rose of Texas.
The stars at night are big and bright. Deep in the heart of Texas. Yeah. Oh, yeah. I still remember it. I still like it. The only thing I don't care for is just the weather down there. It's just so humid, crazy, and
you know what though?
Bugs and snakes and.
One of my best friend Jane lives down there, and it's been in the 70s all week. Not so bad. I wouldn't be minding that in the middle of this video being taped in this live being done in January. Middle of winter, and they've got mild 70-degree temperatures. I don't know. That doesn't sound terrible to me, Justin.
Well, Texas has a lot of unfair stereotypes. I saw this show once. It was called like "What Would You Do?"
Oh yeah, I love that. I love that show.
Well, they set this whole stage up where there was it's all set up. They do these setup things, and
Justin, was it all set up?
Shush now. In New York, they had this waitress that would come over and pretend to harass this lesbian couple with their daughter, right?
Okay.
And see how people would react. And in New York, nobody did anything. Like everybody and they interviewed them, and they're like, "Well, it wasn't really our business," and all this. Then they put it in a little small town podunk cafe in Texas and did it. There was one guy out of like many that like. One dude like high-fived the waitress or something, but by and large, most people were about to come out of their chairs nearby. Like, hey, who are you? I want to talk to your manager. You don't get to talk to her. Who do you think you are? If you don't agree with her lifestyle, that's your problem. Like, people were coming out of the booths nearby, getting ready to like pounce on this waitress. Like, she was getting all kinds of flack. There's a little small town cafe in Texas. It's not at all what people would stereotype. Me, I know Texans. I wasn't surprised at all. But
yeah, I love Texan people. They are cool.
Yeah, it was a pretty cool little snippet.
Yeah.
So where are we at in the list now? We gotta get back to the list.
I think we're like number 4, maybe.
So yeah, being self-righteous about the concept of enlightenment. They say enlightenment here. I mean, just putting yourself above other people because of your spiritual work. Right. And most of the time, people that do that tend to be kind of a disaster. I've noticed. Like.
Yeah.
So being overly detached is what they have for number 4. I mean, I feel like that kind of ties into number 1, right? Not focusing on here and now.
Yeah.
Just separating yourself from other people. And a lot of people that do that, I have to wonder, and this is a question, not a statement. If they grew up in a situation where they just felt detached from family and people around them and stuff, and that's their deal, that's their coping, mechanisms to have this great identity. Being overly idealistic.
Is this number?
This is what they have for number 5, is being overly
Number
idealistic.
5, being overly
idealistic. Maybe that person has just got too much opinion about everything. I mean,
okay.
I'm not really sure with that one, where they're coming from with that one.
Yeah. I'm not sure either. But that's okay. Continue.
Having feelings of entitlement.
Is this number
6?
6. Yeah. Having feelings of entitlement. Okay. Yeah. This is all starting to come together now.
Right.
Again, like we're better than you because we're, of this faith, or we're of this ism and you're not. Yeah. Okay.
Right. I should be treated special because I'm a goddess. And I'm growing and expanding and blah blah blah. Yes, I'm making fun of people in my pagan community because I can. Because a lot of them have earned it. I'm just definitely some entitlement going on. And I didn't somehow we ended up talking about Texas. I didn't talk about kind of my spiritual journey. So probably from a teenager on, for many years, I identified as a Buddhist, and a lot of that came from reading the Tibetan Book of Living and Dying. That's a really old spiritual classic by I'm gonna butcher his name. If he ever sees this, I'm sorry, man. Sogyal Rinpoche, which Rinpoche translates into precious one.
And what was that name again, Justin?
Sogyal, Sogyal Rinpoche. I have to go Google that, man.
How did that feel in your mouth?
Marbles.
The Tibetan Book of Living and Dying.
Yes, not the Tibetan Book of the Dead. Don't confuse those. If you crack into the Tibetan Book of the Dead, you will be so lost and confused. Don't do that.
Okay.
But the Tibetan Book of Living and Dying, it's written by a gentleman that was that grew up as a young boy in Tibet, and kind of the Mahayana Buddhist mindset and the way they look at things in life. It was very moving for me as a teenager, and I'd already kind of turned away from mainline Christianity. I knew the stories. I'd been to church a few times. Inevitably, an attractive girl drags at least one guy to church. It's like, oh, sure, that sounds great. Whatever. You're cute. Here I go.
So you weren't raised with any sort of spirituality? I
was raised in the traditional Christian spiritual setting, but it wasn't that we're going to church every Sunday and this is a big part of our lives. It was like, hey, we're Christian. Okay.
So it was more a label than it was a lifestyle.
Yes.
Okay.
Yep.
So continue your journey.
So, I carried that for a lot of years, but then I realized, well, I'm not really meditating every day. I did lots of Kung Fu, moving meditation, by some accounts. But it was like, I'm not really feeling drawn to engage in the practices of it every day. I carried a lot of the philosophy around, but it was just a title I carried for a long time, not a true practice. So I think in the past probably 5 or 6 years, I found myself practicing Karo-based shamanism, and I've got mentors and guides and people that I do this work with, and it's been I really enjoy it. It's a lot of working with nature. It's a lot of working with your internal landscape. It's not uncommon for somebody to come out and do a what we call a medicine wheel weekend and find that they've had 10, 15, 20 years of therapy done just like that. But it's also not easy. You're trying to heal yourself and eventually get yourself to a point where you can heal others. And so it's very involved, and it can be very challenging. You can go out and do some practice, like make an earth painting or do some drumming and do some journey work, and then find yourself trying to unpack and integrate that. And the whole time it's, traumas that you faced or behaviors that you've engaged in that you weren't able to see until you started this work. And now you have to deal with it. You have to face, as some would say, your demons, your internal demons. And so it's a challenge. The other challenge is, I typically don't tell people. I don't talk about it much because of anytime you get in the pagan community, anytime you get into the world, anything around shamanism, witchcraft, Wicca, all of that different stuff, what you get is largely a bunch of just cosplayers and people with, a lot of the things we're talking about here, this bypass.
Talking the talk.
Or this identity. And where is it actually helping them grow as people? Where is it actually helping them heal? Where is it helping them integrate and do positive things in their community? Those are questions we all have to ask ourselves and have the answer to, but I don't see a lot of it in that world.
Do you feel like, and this could be with any, I'm not trying to pick on paganism, but let's just use it as an example. Do you feel, because you just said it, do you ever feel like maybe some people do paganism almost for shock value or for attention seeking?
Oh, absolutely.
To be able to say,
absolutely.
It's almost like, hey, I have a tattoo. Oh, I'm a pagan. It's a way to try to like self-identify. Maybe?
Yeah, or it's bucking the system, bucking the normal, the state of normalcy. Yeah, yeah, to all that. That's not to say there are not people that aren't genuinely, really
of course, I'm
work,
sure. But there are people that do it more in name rather than in their daily practice, right?
Oh yeah, or they're like cosplayers. They're really just like an eclectic form of cosplay.
Something like this, I came to this conclusion today, is that I have a friend from many years. Like, I've known her since 2000, so like 20 years, and was there for like the birth of her children, and we were pretty close. And then over time, I saw a change in her, just a person that used to be pretty, not a big Christian. A Christian, yeah, we'd go to church, but not a big Bible-toting person, but basically lived by the standards of what most Christians would consider a good life and being a good person and being honest. And then I started to see changes in her, and we parted and went our separate ways. And because of the fact that some of my family has still maintained contact with her, I will occasionally see her post on Facebook because they liked it, or I'll hear about, something that, somebody in my family went to of theirs. And this is really interesting to me. I came to the realization that she became a witch. Okay. And she was going on Facebook and doing videos about, and not only with her, she was doing it with her children. So she was teaching her children to be witches, and she was teaching them to do spells. And she's like, "Oh, we're doing all of our spells today. Oh, we have a day off and we're going to do our spells." Okay. This is a girl that she was Christian going to church, and all of a sudden she's a witch. And I'm like, okay, cool. I don't have anything against people that are into whatever. I don't generally hang out with people that do witchcraft. But that's not why we stopped talking. It just happened to be that she got into it as I started to notice changes in her personality. Fast forward, a few years. I mean, I just came to this realization today that this is what she was doing, because she literally posted on Facebook, "Oh my God, only God can help my son now. His whole life is in the balance and I don't know what's going to happen. And everyone, please pray for my son," and blah, 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 blah. And she's going on and on asking for everyone's prayers. And I thought to myself, you sat there and you taught your kids like how to be witches and how to do spells and all of this stuff. But isn't it interesting that when you're in crisis, you went back to please pray to God? That I find interesting. Like, what does that mean when someone like does, I was this yesterday, but now I'm a pagan, or I was this yesterday and I was Christian yesterday, now I'm Jewish, or now I'm going to be, a member of Islam. But then when shit hits the fan, like all of a sudden that's out the window. That was fun while we did it, but like, and that was trendy. And is there a connection, I wonder to myself, between what they were teaching their kids, and now their kids are in massive trouble for making bad decisions? And by the way, I love her children so much, but this particular child of hers is in a lot of serious trouble, like could affect the rest of his life. He could go to prison for the rest of his life. What's your take on all that, where people just switch as though, today I'm this, but if it fits me for tomorrow, I'll be that? What is that?
I think there's kind of a high for this change when you do what feels like a core level change, right? You're doing one road and it's just life's not working. It's not working. So I'm Jewish as of today, right? And there's this huge rush of everything's going to be so much better now.
Oh,
right.
Okay.
Not saying it can't work that way, but is it addressing the internal landscape? Is it fixing that inner turmoil that's often spurring that dramatic change? My ex was I don't want to say she was a witch. I don't think she was a witch, but she was definitely more along the pagan way of things, and did tarot readings actually for a job at a magic shop and stuff like that. And one day she was just a Christian all of a sudden, and decided that I worship the devil and all kinds of other things. And when I look at her life and I look at the mental health and emotional challenges that she struggles with, I really think that's what it was. It's just I'm going to go over here and everything is going to feel so much better.
Yes.
Particularly around, I think we live in as far as religions goes, a very Christian dominated culture. And so
definitely in America. Yeah.
Definitely in America. So if you jump to that right away, like you've already got like a whole group of people that are there to catch you and embrace you and reinforce it and welcome you. Yeah. And so it address there's multiple components that get addressed with that. But the real question is, does the internal landscape get addressed with that? I mean, everybody is different. But I see a lot of people that make those sweeping changes and they're still the same person. They still have the same behaviors. They still have a lot of the same turmoil. Now they've just got a different title.
Well, it also interests me when you got someone that never goes to church or whatever their faith is. They don't practice it. They don't do anything to become a more spiritual, enlightened being. They never pray. They never do anything like that. But all of a sudden they go to the doctor, God forbid, and they say, "Oh, you're gonna." Oh, I was just noticing. Does my name on there say Sandra and Justin? It does. So sorry guys. I just realized that like it said this whole time it said Sandra and Justin, but you can.
Yeah, I know who that other Justin is. But
yeah. Justin's my imaginary friend sitting right here. And then we've got the second Justin. No, that's wrong. I'll change it later. But what I was going to say is all of a sudden they go to the doctor and they get diagnosed and the doctor says, you've got stage 4 cancer. You're probably going to die. Guaranteed. They're going to go home. And what are they going to do? First thing. What are they going to do? They're going to pray. And I wonder, do we do that out of desperation, hoping that maybe it it would help? Or do we do it because humans are so weird that we like to find blame for something? Like, oh, maybe I have the cancer because I wasn't being spiritual. I don't know. I just see so many people that say they're spiritual, but it's only when it's convenient for them.
There's something to be said for, at least in the church, of having this ideology that somebody else has a plan for me and they love me no matter how much suffering I'm going to go through. So,
yeah.
In that regard, there's hey, this resolves me of what I may have done. I mean, there's somebody that can forgive me, even if I can't forgive myself.
Yeah.
So I think that's another element of kind of a separation and comfort at the same time because of that separation, if that makes sense.
Right. It does. It does. Can you hear me okay? Because the heater just turned on.
I can hear you. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Okay. Well, let's continue. Do we have any more bullet points that we?
Yeah. There's some more. This one's kind of. I like this one because we see this one a lot in Portland. Beyond just spiritual means, right? Exhibiting frequent anger. I have decided that if reality doesn't line up with what people believe things should be, spiritually, socially, what have you, we're going to see frequent anger. And we're going to see anger not placed in a constructive, well thought out way to generate change most of the time, because that's not necessarily anger. A lot of times that can be concern and people wanting to generate change. But when we talk about this anger, like, I'm sorry if your name is Karen. I know it's a generic thing, but the rise of the Karens that we see in culture, I think that's a lot of, you're seeing a lot of that.
Yeah.
Right. This strange disconnect and this discontentment and internal turmoil in people coming out as anger. Right. And that's where, in the realm of spirituality, well, I'm a priest, a shamanic priest, for instance, which kind of isn't a thing. And therefore poor people should react to me this way, such way, and the other. And then when it doesn't come out that way, then here comes my anger and rage and internal things for lack of respect over my identity and things like that. I mean, there's a lot of things that cause people to be angry, but I think the big one is there's this mismatch between, in the spiritual realm, how people think they should be regarded in the world versus how they're received. What do you think?
Yeah, I feel like I do notice that, but I guess I never really identified what it was until you just said that. And I feel like people get frustrated either with themselves or others when expectations aren't met.
Or there's this fear of, and a different ideology is a threat in some way, right?
Yeah. Again, like they're not meeting your expectations. And I do think that people try to, spirituality is such a crazy thing because it seems so simple to you and I. Like, I mean, I don't want to speak for you, but I think we see spirituality as really clearly. And for me, when I try to describe it to someone is imagine that there's a big bubble around you and you're inside this bubble floating around. And inside the bubble is one atmosphere. And on the outside of the bubble, there's another atmosphere. And to me, spirituality personally for me is reaching through that bubble without bursting it and feeling the other side. And the other side would be what you call a higher power or, the spiritual universe or whatever. And it's such a thin, that's why I use the example of a bubble, because it's such a thin veil to cross through and touch the other side. And I see so many people that literally torture themselves or others and get upset, like you said, get angry because either they're not living, I said I wasn't going to lie again. And then I lied today and now I'm a piece of crap and I deserve to die. Or, somebody, Joanne at work said that, I wasn't being nice today and God says you have to be nice, I'm probably going to go to hell. Or, God forbid, something heavier. I've done something wrong. I've had an abortion. I'm thinking about suicide. There's some heavy things in life that I feel like we beat ourselves up over on ourselves if we're not being the person that we are told that we're supposed to be. And I don't know, for me personally, I'd love to get your feedback. But having been on the other side and having been able to pass over without passing over, and to feel what it's like to be in spirit and to feel God's love, it breaks my heart that people either persecute others or they persecute themselves. I don't know. That's rough for me. When you talk about anger, I could be completely off here, but I feel like I see so much anger, even internally, with myself. If I'm not being the best person I could be, if I didn't stop and help that lady with her cart that was struggling because I was in a hurry, and then I go, well, you're a piece of crap. That nice little lady needed help. Maybe she got injured trying to make that cart work. Oh, but you were in a big hurry to get to your nail appointment, Sandra. You know what I mean?
Or if you're on the phone and you're at Burgerville and you're just kind of short when you're ordering your burger and fries, and your friend is just,
okay.
Oh my gosh, you're normally so. How could you be so mean to the drive-through person like that?
Okay.
Like, I wasn't mean. I was just telling them what I wanted.
This is a personal attack. Personal attack.
It absolutely is.
Well, listen, for those of you that don't know, on a previous video, I got on Justin's case because he had me on speakerphone and he was ordering at a fast food drive-through, and he might have been a little bit sharp and a little bit snappy and not as warm and loving as I know Justin to be. Okay. And so I kind of chewed him out a little because people just call me everyone's mom. I'm always like the person that's the protector of all people and like the teacher of all people. And I don't know, I was born like this, so I don't know where it came from. But
she made it sound like I got out of the car with a bat and was like, "You better get me the prize right this time.
It's true.
I'm gonna mess this place up."
But Justin, let me present it another way. Imagine that woman, and there's a parable in the Bible about this. I want to say it's Matthew 22 or something, but don't quote me on that. If there's any Christians, you can let me know if I'm incorrect and give me the right quote. But everyone's coming from their place. God understands that we're all coming from our own place. And I don't mean to make this heavy, but imagine, Justin, that girl, that little girl in the drive-thru, that little teenager girl is 19 and she's not making any money, and she's with an abusive boyfriend, and now she found out she's pregnant and she doesn't know what she's going to do, and she's literally on the edge right now. Do you ever think that you just giving that little kindness, that little smile, or that little extra, how are you today? How are you doing? Authentically, not how are you today, but like really from your heart, to just acknowledge them as a human being. Do you ever think that might just give them a little bit more hope? And not saying that you were being mean or anything, but I always think that you're such a beautiful person, and people, we have love to give, even to a stranger, we can give love. And I know that'd be really creepy if in the drive-thru you were like, I'll take a cheeseburger and God loves you, or, something that would be like really freaky. But sometimes you could just give a little kindness. And I'll give a quick example is I was on the phone in the parking lot of Ross, which is a store we have here that's like has everything in it. And I was about to go in, and I was just trying to finish my call. And I see this nice lady, older lady next to me. And in her car, she's outside in her car in the parking lot. And she bought this huge picture in Ross, like a huge one of those printed frame things. It's so big, it doesn't even fit in her 4-door car. And she's trying to manipulate it all by herself. And she's trying to push it in this way and push it in that way. And I'm just on the phone going, yeah. And I'm watching this whole thing. And I'm like, can you hold on? I'm going to call you right back. And I was like, ma'am, can I help you? Can I help you try to figure out how to get this thing in? And she could not fit it in her car. We tried every possible scenario. And I said, listen, I'm getting ready to travel. I've got to run some errands, and I'm getting ready for a flight tomorrow morning. But if you're close by, because I have an SUV, and she had a regular car. And I said, if you're close by, could we put it in my SUV and I can follow you? And she was like, oh, I'm like 25 minutes away from here. And I said, oh God, like time wise, and she said, no, baby, don't even worry about it. Thank you so much for trying to help me. And I'm going to see if I can call someone to come over. And I said, take it back to Ross and they'll hold it for you for today till you get someone with a bigger car. Now, I just saw a woman that was having a hard time. She was all by herself. She looked frustrated, and I felt the need to reach out. Now, when I said to her, hey, can I help you with that? She could have just said, no, I'm fine. But she was like, yeah, if you could help me. I don't know what this woman's story is. I can tell you that, well, she wasn't living her best life. I can tell you that based on her car and the contents of her car. I think she looks like she's going through some life transitions, might be moving. I don't know. I didn't want to ask. But I like to think that every time we get an opportunity like that, we could make a small difference in someone's life. Just letting her know, even though I couldn't help her fix the problem, just saying, I care. Let me get off this call. Let me help you. Can I help you? Sometimes I feel like that makes a huge difference.
I have been known to offer to help Vietnam veterans load stuff at the Home Depot before.
How do you know they're a vet?
Usually they're wearing a hat or something, and I can tell with just their demeanor.
Okay.
Yeah.
So for those of you who don't know, Justin was in the military.
They won't let me help them, which is kind of funny. And then I call them stubborn old bastards, and they all start laughing.
But see, even in that moment when they didn't allow you to help, and you call them a stubborn old bastard, and you guys have a good chuckle, you made that connection. And I feel like you just don't know where someone. You guys keep this in mind. You don't know where someone's coming from, and I guarantee you that if you look at someone, you go, oh, they're so happy, they're in such a good mood. A lot of times, someone that takes their lives, guys, to the outside world, they're a different persona.
Robin Williams.
Let's talk about him. Tell me about his story.
Well, I mean, that's a perfect example. One of the most brilliant, hilarious guys of our lifetime that took his own life.
Yeah.
Adored by millions.
Yeah. And took his life, right? And then you've got like questionable circumstances, like people like Chris Farley, who is one of my favorite comedy actors, I guess you call them comedic actors. And he, he was always doing all these he was on Saturday Night Live. He was in a bunch of movies, Chris Farley. He would do all this physical comedy, and people would say that he would do anything he could to make everyone in the room laugh, even if it meant he got hurt. He wanted everyone to be happy. That's all he wanted. But it turned out when he was by himself, he lived in such a sad state and ended up becoming addicted to drugs and overdosed. And whether that was purposeful or intentional or unintentional, I mean, it's not for us to know. But sometimes when you pass that person or that checker or whatever, that's just, you think, oh, they have everything going for them. It's not always true, you guys. What's that old saying? Don't judge a book by its cover.
Yep. So let's see. We kind of segued off frequent anger. So
we
engaging in cognitive dissonance.
What number is this, Justin?
They didn't number them. It's 8.
Okay.
Yeah, I think it's
number 8. And can you repeat it again? Number 8 is
engaging in cognitive dissonance. So that cognitive dissonance and less fancy schmancy verbiage is 2 or more modes of thought contradicting each other. So
can you explain an example of that?
I don't know. It could be somebody that's let's say somebody that's in the church, but they're drawn to read tarot cards, right? And some people, depending on their church and their mindset's gonna, oh my gosh, you're playing with the occult and you're gonna summon the devil and stuff like that. So there's this struggle, right?
Right.
And they say it's a spiritual bypass, but I feel like there's a lot of identity wrapped around that, right? Because especially in our culture, in American culture, where everything's very extreme, heaven forbid you're a moderate, heaven forbid you're liberal about some things and more conservative about others. You just got to be in one lump or the other because that makes the headlines. That causes some internal turmoil for people. And if you're spiritually bypassing and you've made your spirituality your whole identity and how you show up in the world, if you're drawn to something that is not traditionally a part of that, it's going to cause you problems, right? You're going to have struggles. So this one, so that's number 8. We're going to move on to number 9.
Okay.
Being overly compassionate. Now, I feel, and I have been guilty of this, ladies and gentlemen. I don't think I was guilty of this because of spiritual reasons, but definitely guilty of being overly compassionate, right? If your faith is making you compassionate to the point you don't have healthy boundaries in your work, life, relationships, and you're allowing people to walk all over you or be abusive towards you, and you're being compassionate towards them instead of walking away or setting some firm boundaries, that's a problem. Sandra, you're like a kettle getting ready to boil over right now. I see it's all over your face. You got something to say?
I'm processing.
Are you noodling? Okay, I call it noodling when you're round and round. But
yeah.
What are your thoughts on that? Well, the XYZ thing to do would just be to understand and be compassionate and understand that I didn't do this right, and that's why they were abusive towards me, right?
Yeah, I think one of my biggest challenges in my life, you just nailed it, is, as I explained earlier, I have self-assigned the role of, I must be protecting everyone at all times. I must be the protector of all people. And if I see someone that is disadvantaged or has been treated unfairly, I must speak up, even if I'm the only one. And that old saying about stand up even if you stand alone. I feel like I am everyone's champion, even if they don't want me to be. I will be your champion. Don't worry, Justin. Sandra to the rescue. And you're like, I don't need help with this cheeseburger right now. Please. The cheeseburger's fine, Sandra.
I was really nice when I paid. It was just, the moment I was multitasking.
And I'm thinking of people I know that I love, because I can tell you everyone that's in my friendship circle is they're so beautiful. And I don't have a lot of people. You don't need a lot of people. Maybe you only have 1, 2, or 3 people that you really know are good and they support you and they're behind you. I am blessed to have probably 10 people in my life that are such beautiful souls that I literally treasure them and thank God for them every day. One of them is right there. But I'm thinking more of my Christian friends, because being raised as Christian, it's like, you've got to give and you've got to give and you've got to give until you can't give anymore. Or turn the other cheek. That's a big one. Turn the other cheek. And oftentimes I find myself becoming the protector against these friends. I can think of 2 in particular. One, Justin, the name starts with an A, and she's a lovely woman, just as pure as the driven snow, man. God loves this woman. And I can think of another friend that you don't know. Well, you met her actually, New Year's Eve. You went to her party. And these are people that will give you the shirt off their back, but they won't remember that, by the way, they're homeless and they're sleeping in the snow tonight. And so it's like cutting off their nose to spite their face, because their Christianity demands that of them, because their religious background. And it's not just Christianity. There's some amazing faith where we have to give and we have to give and we have to give. But remember that it's okay to have boundaries. It's okay to be a good person and help someone out, but say, I'd love to do this for you, but I can't do it right now, because you need to put your self-care and your self-preservation first. And so that's what I was thinking about when you read that, is like, I do know people that they think it's like, I know bad people that they're not friends of mine, but I know of them, and they will seek you out like a what do you call that missile? Heat seeking. They're like a heat seeking missile. They're like, ooh, Christian. Ooh, she's nice. Ooh, let me see what I can get from her. And they'll keep getting, and they'll keep getting, and they'll keep getting, and they'll take and take and take and take and take until you finally say enough. And a lot of times damage has been done by the time you finally put a halt to it. So as much as I love all my spiritual friends that are like, I'm going to feed the homeless and I'm going to, that's all great. But I also know stories of women and men who they take in some person from the street because they just need a second chance. And the next thing they know, they wake up one morning and they've been cleaned out, So I think you have to really pray on it or meditate on it or whatever when you are considering helping someone. And it's okay to say, I can't do that for you, but here it is. And I'll just give you a quick example is, let's say you meet somebody, this did not happen to me, but let's say you meet someone and you're at the grocery store and they're down on their luck and they're asking for change and they're saying they're hungry and they don't have any place to sleep. Go in and don't give them money. Take them into the store and say, get whatever food you need. I can buy it for you. If you're in the position, if you're not in the position, but if you have a little extra money and you want to do that, do not give them the money because you don't know where that money is going. And sometimes when people are in the throes of addictions, they're not honest, okay? And it's okay to say, I'm a good person and God loves me, but I don't trust this person or possibly their intentions. So go in and take them, get them their food. And then they say, oh, you're so nice. Thank you so much. I don't have a place to sleep tonight. Okay, so get on your phone, find the nearest shelter, and buy them a bus pass to the nearest shelter and say, here's the address. I wrote it down. It's from my phone. They're open till 6:00 tonight. If you get there tonight, you'll have a warm bed and you'll have a warm meal and, whatever. And here's a bus ticket I just bought you. And so you can get there. Do not take them into your home. Do not say, okay, well, I guess you can stay with us for a while. You guys have to be careful. And if you have any question in your mind, please, please, please think about it and always think about what the long-term effects could be of your good deeds. Because a good friend of mine who's passed over, who was a devout Catholic, would always say, the road to hell is paved with good intentions. So you might have the best intentions to help this person, but realize sometimes it's their journey. Okay. And we can help someone if they ask for help, and we can help them to the best of our ability without overextending. But we have to realize it's their journey and never feel bad if, let's say, for instance, you go back one day and you don't see that guy there and you think maybe he went to the shelter and then you find out later he passed away. That was his journey. You did everything you could. You bought the guy a burrito and a Coke and you gave him a bus ticket and you gave him a resource. And I feel like people just, God love him. I just love people that just give and give and give and give. But it breaks my heart when somebody comes in and takes advantage of that.
Yep. So one more.
Okay.
Pretending that everything is okay when it's not.
Woo! Didn't we talk about that? You never know.
I think we did. Know
what someone's journey is.
The person that's pointing to the sky and saying God has a plan, or the universe has a plan, or insert some Norse deity because you're a heathen that's worships Thor, or the divine feminine, whatever you have, right? It shouldn't completely remove personal accountability, and that's something I see a lot, right? Like, where are you in this? Like, you still have a part to play in this. You still have a role, right? If you believe somebody has a plan for you, that's great. But I don't think their plan for you is probably to sit there and just let everything fall apart and be like, well, such and such has a plan for me, right?
Are you talking about the guy on the roof with the river in his living room? Is that what we're talking about? That keeps refusing help because God has a plan?
Yeah, right? Yeah, anybody, right? There's this, you still have to be able to take ownership of the things that you have done and not harm yourself. That's the biggest challenge. Like, you talk about the your faith system being, well, I should have helped that woman with the cart, and you start doing this, because you're identifying as a Christian or whatnot, right? And in our spiritual work, we call it the higher ego. And the higher ego is always having a heyday with me, right? And I've gotten to the point, I've started to see it go, all right, shut up.
Can you say it again? It's the higher ego?
Higher ego.
Higher ego. Got it. Higher
right?
ego. Okay.
Yeah. Like, I'm not a very good shaman. I did a fire ceremony a couple days ago, and I should have been doing a bunch of journey work and filling out my journal, and I should have done this, and I should have that, and I door dashed it again the other night when I have pre-made food in the fridge, and and you just start whooping on yourself, and before you know it,
it's true.
you're having a hard time just functioning because you let this dominate your life. And it does not help you do anything better, really. Because you're not giving yourself credit for the things you are doing, for one.
Yeah. I don't know why we beat ourselves up. Why do we beat ourselves up?
You spend like 30 hours building a bunch of content and get mad at yourself for not immediately understanding this video that you put together and not having it look the way you want.
Hey, you're getting personal there, Justin. You're getting personal.
We all have to be reminded of it, though. That's the thing. I do it too. How often do I sulk and hide and beat myself about the head?
So I have a challenge for you, Justin, and I'll do it myself and anyone watching this video. Whatever day, think about what day of the week it is for you today. And I want you to challenge yourself that for 7 days to the next week, 1 week from today, I want you to write down, think positive, and I want you to carry that in your pocket or in your purse. And I want, wallet if you're, if you identify as having a wallet. But no, I think, can we just do this? Can we, every time we start to be rough and mean to ourselves, whether it be that you just got the DoorDash when you had the pre-made healthy meal, or you were trying to follow your diet and go to the gym today and you didn't go, instead you watched Keeping Up with the Kardashians, or you were going to try to ask your boss for that new promotion and you just couldn't get up the nerve and you looked like he was in a bad mood anyways. Before you bash yourself, I want you to stop. And I want you to think instead, before you start to go, well, you're a piece of crap. Well, you're nothing. I want you to turn around. I want you to think of one thing that you are grateful for that you did well today. And I guarantee you, it might take you a little time, but you can think of it. You can think of one good thing that you did for yourself that day or yesterday or the day before, or a good quality you have. And instead of sitting there and spending the next 10 minutes thinking about what a piece of crap you are because you broke down and had the chocolate bar when you are on, you're paying $200 a week for Jenny Craig. Think about the fact that you made the commitment to Jenny Craig, for example, and you paid the money and your mind and your heart are in the right place. And know that every person, no matter what the addiction is, whatever the challenge is, they're going to have some setbacks during the process. No one just goes, oh, I'm going to change my life. I'm going to ask for that promotion. I'm going to get that better job. I'm going to lose that 40 pounds. I'm going to get the love of my life. It doesn't happen without setbacks. So be patient with yourself. And for the next 7 days, every time you start to see yourself like you didn't do something the way you thought you should have, or been the Christian you should have been, or, whatever the case is, stop, take a moment, take a breath. And I want you to think of one good thing you did that day or that week, or a good quality about yourself. Can you do it, Justin? Are you down? Give me a high five if you're down.
All I'm going to say, though, is if you're watching the Kardashians, maybe you should just a little bit beat yourself up just a tiny bit.
Justin,
like, come on.
Justin, you be quiet. Okay, you be quiet.
I'm going to do this exercise because this popped into my head earlier today, too. Is just get a piece of paper and write down what your spirituality does for you and how it shows up for you in your daily life.
Ooh, I like that.
Everybody.
So challenge number 2, write down what your spirituality means to you. And can they also write what the benefits are? Or is that something they should do? Or
I mean, I would like to think that would be evident, that would show up as part of this process. So yeah,
okay.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. And see how it shows up for you.
Okay.
Maybe I think a lot of people would be surprised. They're probably like, well, it's not really doing anything other than, I show up and I've got people that agree with the ideology, but it's not like, huh. And that's not a dig on anybody's spirituality, but that could be hey, I need to invest some more energy into this part of my life because it's just, I'm not getting the return that I want from it. Right.
Yeah. True. True. I mean, if you guys find that you're beating yourselves up every day because you're not meeting the expectations of your personal spiritual practice, it might be time to be less mean to yourself or reevaluate your choices. Because, I mean, I know of some religious practices that are constantly shaming people, and I guarantee you that's not what your higher power wants. Your higher power does not want you beating yourself over the head because you didn't make it to church. In Catholicism, if you don't get to church every Sunday, you're going to purgatory or hell or whatever. That's
what was number 3 again? If somebody's beating you up over not being self-righteous about the concept of enlightenment. Hey, if somebody's beating you up because they're not perceiving you're doing something that you should be doing in your faith, maybe they're locked in number 3 a little bit and got some things that they need to deal with.
Yeah. No, I agree. So, I mean, it might be time to reevaluate, you guys. I'm not saying that whatever spiritual practice you have is bad or good, because I don't know what it is, but just make sure that it's bringing you to your higher power and it's fulfilling you. I'm not saying, like Justin said, it's not the end all be all. Your religion is not going to save you from life. You still have to you can't be that guy on the roof with the flood and multiple boats come by to save the guy. And he goes, no, God's going to take care of me. Realize that you still have to do the work. You can't say to yourself, I'm going to meet the perfect spouse. I'm going to have beautiful children. I'm going to have a great job and I'm going to buy a house. And what am I doing today? I'm eating bonbons on my mom's couch, watching TV. That's not going to happen. God does not come in and just give us whatever we want, or your higher power doesn't just come in the universe and say, oh, that's what you wanted, Sandra. Here it is. Let me give it to you, because you got to work for it. This life is about a journey and challenging ourselves, and we don't grow when we're not challenged. So yeah, there's going to be adversity. And just because you have a higher power doesn't mean you're not going to experience strife, right? We're all going to experience strife, because every time you have obstacles, it's an opportunity to grow or it's an opportunity to hide. So what do you want to do? Do you want to meet this obstacle or challenge and grow and go to your boss and say, Mr. Wachenschlammer, I know you're having a hard day, but I've been here for 5 years and you promised me a promotion after 3. And I waited for a year, Mr. Wachenschlammer. But I want you to go to Mr. Wachenschlammer and you tell him, I've been at this company for 5 years. I was owed a promotion. My wife won't speak to me. I sleep on the couch every night. I need my promotion. Okay. Don't be afraid. You gotta take some action in your life. You gotta take some accountability. Your higher power can't do everything for you.
I just want you to know, if we do get married someday, that I'm changing my name to Wachenschlammer.
Mr. Wachenschlammer?
Where did you cook that up?
I don't know. I saw this guy. He's got glasses. Maybe I'm explaining this. Maybe there's someone out there right now that's knowing who I'm talking about. I'm talking about you. Kind of balding. This is a guy who wants the promotion. He's kind of balding. He's got glasses, a little bit of extra love handle there. And I see him with this boss, and it's some complicated name, and he's afraid to approach him. So that's what I'm seeing in my mind. I have a good imagination. But you guys, good luck. Please let us know in the comments what's happening. Justin, what are you looking for?
I was looking for my reading glasses. I was trying to do my impression of Mr. Wachenschlammer.
Oh, okay,
I know where my glasses are.
Mr. Wachenschlammer.
I can't find my glasses. I don't know where they are. Oh God,
he needs his glasses. But you guys, please, this time for 1 week, starting today, every single time you want to be mean to yourself, every time you want to bash yourself or talk or just get on your own case about what you could, should, or would be doing, stop. Take a moment to be grateful and think about something good you did today or a good quality you have, and move on. And also, Justin, challenge number 2. Number 2.
Write down how your spirituality shows up in your daily life.
And for how long should they do that? Just one time, or for the next week, or?
Actually, for the next week is good, because if you do it one time, you may not realize the ways it shows up. So just throughout the week, just write it down. Just go, oh wow, I didn't, if I wasn't if I didn't grow up in the church and was taught this approach, this mindset, I probably wouldn't do this right here. And like, write that down. Like that's a prime example,
All right. I'm going to do it. Justin's going to do it. You guys do it with us. And please write down in the comments whenever you're watching this, whether it be a month, a year, or 10 years from now, write down what your experience was and how it affected you. And on that note, Justin, can I get a fist bump? All the way from Pennsylvania.
Wait,
oh, hey, yeah. Justin, your fist is so much bigger than mine.
Oh, it's the camera's like way up here.
I know. I'm kidding. All right. Okay. So until next week, join us next Sunday night at 7 p.m. Pacific Standard or whenever this replays. And we'll see you guys soon. Bye.